In communication, if we are just using words only, we're always facing the problem that words are triggering different pictures in all of us. But we can overcome this problem easily by using icons, little simple icons and visuals in our communication. We are using a universal language that everyone is able to understand on this planet. A second advantage of using symbols and visuals in communication is that our brain, when we are using words only, is having a very small capacity for words. And we only can store them for a very, very limited time. However, when we are using visuals in communication, our storage for visuals is unlimited. Visuals always trigger emotions. So we are connecting the visuals not just with facts, but also with emotions that allow us to remember more easily what was said. In visual communication, we distinguish between sketchnoting and graphic recording. So what's the difference? Sketchnoting is usually for private use. It is something that we use for our personal notes. And we combine words with visuals, with simple icons, to make it easier for us to memorize and remember what was said. So the principle, it is small. So in comparison to sketchnoting that is done on small formats, graphic recording is usually done on large formats. The reason is that is for private use and that is for the use for a public audience. So it has to be visible for many people at a very large scale. So the same principles that we use for graphic recording, we also can use at work. So when we, for instance, want to communicate using a flip chart or a whiteboard. In both cases, we are combining text and visuals. That's why it's called visual communication. This is a typical situation that we face every day at our workplace. If people communicate with text and words only, any targets, any communication becomes kind of unclear. We don't really understand what is going on, and we are very often frustrated by the unclear communication. But we can do a lot better. We can use visual communication. So the visual communication in this part actually requires us to use a combination of words and pictures. And a flip chart is a perfect communication tool for that. We combine graphical elements and text elements together for a more effective communication. And because we are more effective in our communication, the employees or all the other colleagues understand a lot better what is our intention. So it is clear to them what is expected, and they are not frustrated anymore, they are happily smiling. So when we are using visual elements, our communication is becoming easier to understand, more target-oriented and more emotional. And overall it is becoming a lot more effective. So what's the material we are going to need for sketching or actually visual communication on a flip chart, which is paper, the whiteboard, which is providing a glossy surface, or the sketchbook again, which is paper. For all of these different surfaces, there are different special pens. They are differing by color or by the tip. And there's the chisel tip, which is allowing us with one tip a thin or a thick line, or the bullet tip, which is allowing us to have one constant thickness. This is here a selection of colors that are usually provided in the STAEDTLER box, but there are additional colors as well for all of the different special surfaces. So what's the major advantage of working with a whiteboard? Well, I can tell you from my experience, you can attach whatever you want to the whiteboard. So you can use a tape for the famous banana, for instance, or you use post-it notes for the smiley, or a magnet for a coffee cup. But the very best thing of a whiteboard is you can write with a pen on it. You can actually label the banana. And what is the banana providing? Energy, of course. And in order to symbolize the energy, you use a color that makes it visible that there is a lot of energy. We also have here the coffee cup. A coffee cup stands for break. Break is very important, so it has to stick out as well. And a break is making us usually quite happy. So this is the link to the smiley. And one of the major advantages of working on a whiteboard is you never have to be afraid of failure, because whenever a failure is happening, you can easily erase it. Such as this heart, which doesn't have any meaning in this context, you easily can erase. It's gone. These are my 7 whiteboard tips. Easy to read writing because people want to see what you're writing. Space, there's no need to cover everything. Organize your content, so use the same color and same font size for your titles, for instance. Structure your content with bullet points or numbers. Use graphical elements and colors to organize as well. Graphical elements is, for instance, just a frame or a line underneath, or you're using a circle, and use colors to highlight, for instance, action lines to really make it stick out. Simple symbols, well, we are using visual communication, so if you want to symbolize the sun or cloud or emotions or whatever you have in mind, for instance, with simple symbols, you easily can visualize your content. And tip number 7, emotions. How can you bring emotions into your whiteboard? Use faces. Drawing faces is just a very simple thing. Use an ellipsoid, dots for the eyes, a little blip for the nose, and then the emotion comes with the mouth. Happily smiling, a bit grumpy and angry and sad. That's it.